This might be a shocker to you, but I was born in California. I've lived in California my whole entire life. My whole entire life, people have been crossing the border. It didn't just happen under the Biden administration. This game that they play, oh, Biden's doing this and Biden's doing that, you know, is coming from a never Trumper, Marsha Blackburn, correct? So look, this game that they're playing with your children's lives and my life and their safety has gone on long enough. They've been using this border as a game, as a power tool to lie to you, right? There's no more people coming across that border today than there was yesterday, than there was 10 years ago, okay? There was more drugs in my community during the pandemic lockdown than ever before, right? It's not going to stop. The border should just have guards on it, towers, right? Come across, bad things happen to you. And that's just the way it works. You can't just allow these people to continue doing this using their lies and deception. Marsha Blackburn, an ever Trumper. And of course, I have to get a phone call during the middle of this video to ruin it, correct? So with that being said, you all know that we're entering the dark times. It had to be this way, right? It had to be this way. They had to make it so bad because you wouldn't listen. You wouldn't just surrender your rights. You won't just give up your guns. You won't submit to them. Right? So they got to be really creative. Now, how are we going to do this? How are we going to get these people to really give up their rights? Huh? You've watched it on TV for the last 8 years of how they've done it. I would say 80% of you are full-blown, ready to surrender your rights for a fake safety, right? That's what the wall is about. That's what all this is about. All of it is about distorting your mind, twisting you into thinking that America is under attack every day. It is not. I go outside every day. I walk around every day. I see people every day. Nothing has changed in my community, okay? There's a lot more phones now. There's a lot more cameras that are capturing these people, okay? There's no more than there was yesterday or the day before. And people that keep going, 2024, 2028 or whatever, you still didn't learn your lesson the first time, right? So Trump's going to be the president, right? And I would almost be willing to bet that he bans assault rifles, okay? And at this point, I don't care, right? Because it's either it's a metaphor. It's like you use it or you lose it, right? You haven't used it. You haven't used it. It's somebody else's job. Somebody else's job. I'm not advocating for war. I'm advocating for justice. Do you understand? What they have allowed to go on in our country has gone on long enough. Using the border and manipulating you against me and me against you has to end, all right? People have been crossing the border for decades. Not 5 years, not 10 years, over 30, 40 years. Nothing has changed. It's just a more division. So suddenly, now that it's close to the election, we got to secure the border. Shut up. Shut up and stop playing for their game, please. It's just they're twisting you and distorting reality from what it really is. I go outside. I don't see anybody taking stuff. I don't see people doing anything bad where I live. And there's a lot of odd ducks here. But this division has to stop. Secure the border the right way. Put some towers up there. Use drones. I don't want to live in a prison, but apparently a lot of you do, and you don't listen to what he says, and it's really problematic for me. I mean, we're literally like, 195 days from live executions on pay-per-view, right? I don't care who you are, who you think you are. I guarantee you have someone in your family that does things that they have to do to survive. Right? And then when they're executed on pay-per-view, then maybe your mindset of what's going on will change. All right? I mean, enough people have died already with that virus, right? And then the fentanyl just allowed to come to our border, just allowed to come to the border. It's allowed to happen. It is condoned to happen. Huh? I want somebody to go up there and actually condemn it. to actually condemn it. No, they don't. Why? Why? Who owns the most land inside of America from a different country? Who's flying balloons over America? Huh? Who's taking control over America? Right? Who's installing photo recognition cameras in our country? Whose drones are made in a different country that sends back all of our data and all of our infrastructure back to their country that doesn't like us? Right? We're giving them everything and we're doing nothing. We've done nothing but roll over on our back and put our belly fully exposed so they continue to gut us. Once again, I'm not advocating for war. I'm advocating for justice. I'm advocating for someone to give them real questions. Give both of these candidates real questions. The fact that they won't says pretty much all you need to know, right? Trump, why did you sell ping billions of dollars in our food at the height of the pandemic? Why do you praise him all the time? Biden, don't you really think you should go home and enjoy your ice cream and live out the rest of your life and stop being used as a puppet? Huh? Real questions. Real questions. Why didn't you go and get Maduro, like you said? Why did you let Bolton have the 5,000 troops on his clipboard for the whole world to see, right? Why? I want real questions to be asked. Real questions. Not none of this fake, pre-scripted garbage. I told you before, the cartels have been running California for a long time. Long time. They've allowed this to happen. I mean, we literally have a Ukrainian cartel here growing marijuana, right? We have all these cartels from all over the world here in our country growing marijuana, but the politicians aren't selling us out and the police are all doing their jobs. Everything's just fine. It's just the people crossing the border is the problem. People crossing the border is the problem. We told you once he legalized the marijuana that it would be all downhill, right? All downhill. Now, Big Brother's got their hand in it, and you got all these other countries in here, right, crossing the border. You know, and the other thing I want to touch on, the big lie about the border. They say, oh, they got all this marijuana and the marijuana. Nobody wants Mexican marijuana. Are you kidding me? I live in Humboldt County. Is the best marijuana in the world. We wouldn't import their trash. That's just opium stuff to make you feel good about yourself. Oh, we've stopped this from coming across the border. And if fentanyl was so deadly, like they said, like they're portraying, then literally they could just sit there and put pallets of it and throw it up in the air, right? And it would blow around and get on everybody. I mean, but that's just too logical, right? They don't want to kill you. It's just all about fear, 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 fear. Or they would throw it in the aqueduct and everybody would drink it, correct? Or they put it in a water park, right? They could get real creative if they really wanted to hurt people, but that's not what they want to do. They want you to give up your rights. They want you to live in fear to where you're going to say, oh, okay, I'll surrender these rights for false safety. It's all been by design, all of it. But a lot of people can't see that all of this is on purpose. All of it. Fear. Fear has made you all deaf and blind. The man that praises the dictator. The man that praises a dictator. Forget Joe Biden. He's not the president of anything. That's a joke. It's a collective. It's like Anon, right? If you ever research Anon, you would know that they wanted you to vote for the collective. They didn't want to vote for Trump. They didn't want to vote for anybody else. They wanted you to put down for the collective. It seems like we're being run by a collective, doesn't it? But I guess you'll find out in 20 years when the statute of limitations runs out, like everything else. Like Bob Kraft. Right? Bob Kraft went into something in Florida, right? And got in trouble in Florida. And all of a sudden Epstein, right? And all of a sudden Epstein, right? Yeah, but they're all friends. All of them are friends. So every time I hear somebody say Biden did this and Biden did that, I just look at you like you're lost. You're lost. You're not in reality. Biden's not doing anything. He's a puppet.